One of the things we're often asked to help with is the annual review process, where directors get constructive feedback on their boardroom contribution. Even really experienced chairs of boards often shy away from having those conversations, perhaps out of embarrassment at talking about sensitive issues, or feeling like their colleagues are so capable that they've nothing to learn. And yet it's a really important part of the process of developing a learning board. Of course, the chair should also be getting feedback, usually led by the vice chair or the senior independent director if there is one. The UK Corporate Governance Code states there should be a formal and rigorous annual evaluation of the performance of the board, its committees, the chair and individual directors. While that code is written for listed companies, the same principles apply in every boardroom. If we want our organisation to have a culture of continual learning and improvement, then it has to start in the boardroom. This short role play helps demonstrate some of the things that I've found helpful over the years. Firstly, pick a room which gives you privacy, such as a boardroom or a quiet meeting room. Try to make the session professional, yet informal, putting the director at their ease, and coffee is a helpful addition. Remind the director of the purpose of the session and that everyone will have a similar feedback session, including the chair, of course. Remind them that in developing a learning culture, it has to start at the top. Any feedback given is offered with positive intent to support the director's development, not to make them feel criticised. And as you know, all of the board are going through this process, and it's part of our commitment to board development and learning. And you know that we've had the discussions about the way that the board sets the tone for the learning organisation. So I'm delighted that you're prepared to make it a priority too, because as a board, I think we have really made learning a priority for the board. When giving feedback, refer to the self-assessment that the person will have sent you in advance, giving you their thoughts on what they feel they've been doing well and what they can further develop. Give them specific feedback on the positive aspects of their contribution. Move on to areas for improvement, such as lack of preparation, lateness, need to plan ahead, need to see the bigger picture. It's important that we don't shy away from sensitive topics and that we support the director to move forward and further improve their contribution to the board. Ask for their response to the comments, and if they need support for anything, if they have any issues that they struggle with, encourage the director to set future goals and how they will contribute in the future, and agree training and development actions to help them move towards that. So in terms of the process, is there anything that you want to talk about the process before we get into the detail of the feedback?
It would be great to get an overview of how you want to run the process and what it will cover.
Sure. So it's just really according to the structure of the form. So we'll talk about what you feel the board's doing really well and what you think the board could further improve. Be interested to hear your thoughts about how the board could be running better. And then we'll talk about your specific contribution to the board so far, what you think you're doing well, what I think you're doing well, and then if there's areas that you want to develop further. And then we'll come up with an action plan at the end to help you to move forward with your board career. So I'll be making a few notes just to remind me what actions we've agreed, and then we can revisit that as time goes on when we set an action plan. But this will not be shared with anyone else, it'll just be stored with me. And any themes that come up from all of the conversations we can bring into our board away day. If we all need training in a particular area or there's something that we need to develop, that can come into the board away day, but the individual stuff just stays between you and me. Okay. Is that okay?
Yes, that sounds good.
Good. That's great. And what do you feel we could do better as a board? If we could cast our minds forward a year from now, what would we be doing differently as a board that would make it even more successful as a board?
Yes, I think over the past number of years our board meetings have been virtual because of COVID and because of the pandemic. So that has had an impact on that kind of sense of team, and I feel that we're maybe not as close as a board as we were previously. And although each board member contributes very well and they bring great skills, I think we could probably be a bit tighter as a team.
And in terms of your own contribution, you haven't written very much in your form. You're being a bit modest about what you actually contribute. But I see that you've said that you do understand the various documents that we get, and you're on top of all the other areas, and you work well with your other fellow directors and so on, which is great. From my perspective, the contribution that I see you making is that you're really insightful. You ask questions that nobody else asks. You also challenge in a very good way. You challenge with positive intent, as I call it. So I see you asking quite challenging questions to your colleagues, but you're doing it in a way that maintains good relationships. One of the things that you didn't mention in your form, and I need to raise, is sometimes you're a bit late for meetings. The last couple of board meetings, you've come in whenever the meeting has already started. But it really is important, and you've mentioned earlier about the importance of the team, and I think it's really important that the board team comes together at the time that we're allotted to start the meeting, because one of the things we do at the start of the meeting is agree the agenda and what points we're going to raise later on and so on, and how long the meeting's going to last. So I think it'll be important, because you do make such a strong contribution, that you're actually there at the beginning and helping to set the agenda, if you're happy to commit to that.
Okay, yes, I will do that.
Okay, well, again, thanks for making time for this. Is there anything else you want to raise from your perspective as a director? Anything you want me to take on board?
No, I think we've covered everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thanks for everything you contribute. The board is a great place because of the contribution that you make. Thank you. Remember that the purpose of these reviews is to support people to move forward in continual learning and development. Offer specific feedback, guidance and encouragement. Agree an action list. Thank them for their valuable contribution to the board. The director benefits from having clear feedback and encouragement to move forward. The chair benefits from having renewed commitment to further contribution from that director. The board benefits from having a board that really commits to a learning culture, and that sets the tone for the organisation to do the same.